When a person decides to drop their pants and relieve themselves right in the middle of the street, you know they have officially hit rock bottom. Just as this woman pulls her trousers down, a skidding truck comes barreling out of nowhere. The driver, Michel, steps out and freezes, staring at the woman who has clearly lost her life. At that exact moment, the woman's teammate stands up, witnessing the gruesome scene. Before he can even react, he slips, falls backward, and cracks his head against a broken tree trunk. His twitching body slowly goes still. Just like that, in the blink of an eye, Michel has accidentally taken out 2 people. Looking around the silent, empty forest, he decides to just bolt and head straight home. His wife, Cathy, is preparing a meal when she sees the bleeding scratches on his face and concernedly asks for the reason. Michel, still mentally stuck at the crash site, doesn't hear a word. Later at the dinner table, after wrestling with his conscience, he finally confesses to his wife that he ended 2 lives today. Cathy listens in disbelief and asks why he didn't call the cops. Michel explains that they don't have car insurance. If the authorities get involved, their already debt-ridden household will completely collapse. Cathy refuses to believe it until she goes back to the scene and sees the bodies with her own eyes. She hurriedly pulls the woman's pants up, hoping to give her a shred of dignity. Under Cathy's instructions, Michel wipes down the fingerprints inside the car to prevent any tracking.
Mais t'as touché à l'intérieur?
Non, je suis resté dehors.
Alors perds pas de temps. Allez!
Before leaving, Cathy spots the dead woman's fancy handbag in the car. Figuring the owners are gone anyway, she tells Michel to grab it. Then, she eagerly pops the trunk to see if there is anything else useful. To her shock, she finds a bag stuffed with cash. She calls Michel over, declaring this must be a gift from God. No sooner had the words left her mouth than Cathy suddenly rushed toward the body.
Cathy, qu'est-ce que tu fais?
Attends. Pas de corps, pas de mort, pas de mort, pas de crime.
Ah non, faut que t'arrêtes de lire tes bouquins policiers, c'est pas possible. Et puis c'est pas un crime, c'est un accident, je te dis.
Eh ben n'empêche que si je lisais pas mes bouquins policiers, il y aurait des empreintes sur toute la bagnole. Alors ça va.
Michel is tasked with moving the second body, but it is pinned to the tree. He calls out to Cathy saying he can't move it. Cathy sighs, grabs a chainsaw, and cuts the trunk section attached to the body. They load the remains onto their pickup truck and head home, leaving the woman's car abandoned nearby. Not long after they leave, someone spots the car and reports it to Police Chief Bowden. Hearing the car isn't blocking traffic, Bowden tells the caller to leave it be for now. It is almost Christmas, and he is busy picking up his reserved Christmas tree, with his daughter rushing him to get moving. Back at home, Michel watches uneasily as his wife counts the loot. He asks what they should do with the bodies in the truck. Cathy, focused on the cash, says they will figure it out later. Michel, sitting idly, opens the handbag and gets a shock. There is a handgun inside. It is a good thing the bullet missed earlier, or Cathy might have thought Michel was trying to take her out to keep the money for himself. Suddenly, their intellectually disabled son walks out, freezing the couple in fear. Remembering that the boy inherited Michel's intellect, Cathy is relieved, trusting Michel wouldn't have the brains to double-cross her. Just as the son returns to his room, an urgent knocking sounds at the door. It is Bowden, coming for his Christmas tree. To avoid suspicion, Cathy opens the door while Michel scrambles to clean up the mess. He holds the gun, staring at the cash and a bullet hole in the wall, completely panicking. Cathy stalls Bowden at the door, but eventually has to invite him in. In a split second, Michel stuffs the gun and money into a bag and stands against the wall to cover the bullet hole with his body. He forces a conversation, inviting Bowden to sit. After some small talk, Bowden doesn't notice anything off and asks Michel to help him load the tree. Cathy quickly hides the bag as the men step outside. As soon as Michel reached the truck, he saw 1 foot of a corpse sticking out. In a heart-stopping moment, Bowden's attention is drawn to a dent on the truck. Michel instinctively blocks the view of the foot with his body. When asked about the dent, Michel lies that his wife hit something while practicing driving, and they didn't report it due to insurance issues. He awkwardly shuffles, using his body as a shield, guiding Bowden toward the Christmas tree. In those critical seconds, Cathy rushes out, spots the foot, and covers it up. Bowden drives off, none the wiser. The couple lets out a massive sigh of relief. As soon as Bowden's taillights fade, they rush to the computer to research how to dispose of bodies. Being thorough, Cathy changes the search from 1 body to 2 bodies. The top result suggests feeding them to pigs since they have strong stomachs, But the downside is it takes too long. Cathy rules that out. They need speed. The second option is acid, which requires chemistry knowledge they don't have. Cathy, a fan of detective novels, lands on option 3, feeding them to the bears in the forest. The plan is set. At the crack of dawn, they wrap the heavy burdens in waterproof tarps, load them onto an old wooden boat, and head up the icy river. Every bump stops their hearts. They reach a rocky beach under a waterfall, a known feeding ground for local black bears. Under the cover of the roaring water, they drag the bodies onto the rocks and slather them in honey to attract the beasts. Once the bears finish the meal, the deaths will look like an accident or a disappearance. They flee the scene, leaving the cleanup to the forest's apex predators. A few days later, hoping for the best, they return, but their expectations shatter. The honey-coated treats are untouched, not even attracting insects. Even more terrifying, a third, unfamiliar body is now lying next to the original two. A cold sense of absurdity grips them. Even Cathy is baffled by this plot twist that defies her novels, but she quickly pulls it together.
Je crois qu'on a fait une erreur. Les corps, il faut pas les faire disparaître. Faut les montrer. Je dirais même, faut carrément les exposer. Parce que s'ils les trouvent pas, ils vont les chercher, forcément. Et c'est sûr qu'ils vont les trouver. Par contre, s'ils les trouvent tout de suite, ils les chercheront plus.
Non mais lui, il a rien à voir.
Bah maintenant si.
They load all 3 bodies back up and take them home. Cathy suggests putting the bodies back in the original car to stage an accident. As long as Michel keeps his mouth shut, the police will never figure it out. However, just as they finish dealing with the bodies, Baudin receives a call from the original witness.
Bah non, il y a des passagers.
C'est-à-dire, il y en a combien?
Sans compter les mouches, il y en a 3.
Et ils disent quoi?
Qu'est-ce qu'ils disent? Ah bah ceux-là, ils disent plus rien. J'en ai vu de la charogne, mais là, je te jure, c'est Tchernobyl.
Bon, Gilles, écoute,
Oui.
tu bouges pas.
Ouais.
J'envoie la police scientifique et j'arrive.
It turns out the police have uncovered a smuggling ring. The third body was a smuggler who fell off a cliff while fleeing a bear, landing right at that waterfall. Baudin rushes to the scene, shocked by the pile of 3 bodies. Meanwhile, Michel, following orders, goes home to get the gun to plant it at the scene, but when they return, the place is swarming with cops. Luckily, they know Baudin, so they use the excuse of going to the supermarket to slip away. But now, they are stuck with the gun. Inside the store, Michel, terrified of the competent police force, suggests turning himself in to get a lighter sentence. Cathy shuts him down immediately. Between their special needs son and their mounting debts, she can't survive if he goes to prison. She tears up, playing the victim. Seeing this, Michel drops the idea of surrendering and decides to buy a massive flat-screen TV to comfort his stressed wife. Meanwhile, the police quickly identify the 3 bodies. The man and woman were illegal buyers, while the third corpse, the one who fell to his death, was the smuggler. Baudin deduces that a conflict likely broke out during the transaction, but then he finds a hairpin in the evidence bag that looks exactly like one his daughter Blanche owns. When he confronts her at home,
Elle est où?
Je l'ai oublié chez une copine.
Quelle copine?
Je sais pas, tu la connais pas?
T'as intérêt à ce que je la connaisse. Parce que ta barrette, on l'a retrouvée dans une voiture.
Oui, alors papa, je vais pas te dire avec qui je couche.
Mais attends. T'as couché dans la voiture?
Je suis majeure, papa.
T'as couché dans la voiture avec les cadavres?
Avec les?
Ma fille est nécrophile.
she gets defensive and dodges the question. Needing an airtight alibi, Michel and Cathy visit a local club owner, Sabine. They bribe her to say they were at her club on the night of the incident. Sabine, a self-proclaimed devout Christian, claims she never lies.
Il te faudrait combien?
Until the cash hits her hand, she agrees to perjure herself. Early the next morning, Bowden has to formally summon his uncooperative daughter to the police station to question her about the hairpin. It turns out that on the night the body is found inside the car, Blanche and her boyfriend spot the vehicle while passing by and decide to spice things up by messing around inside, accidentally dropping the hairpin in the car during the process. Moreover, there is no body in the car at that specific moment. Through Blanche's statement, combined with the testimony of the first witness, the police can confirm that the body is planted there later, and the time of the deed falls right between Blanche's departure and the discovery of the body the following day. By checking the timestamps on the surveillance footage before entering and after leaving the mountain, they conclude that Blanche and her boyfriend stay in the car for exactly 17 minutes. After hearing this, Bowden quickly maps out a specific crime zone based on the time frame between his daughter's departure and the body's discovery, realizing that only someone living in this area has the time to dump the body so swiftly.
Le problème, c'est que là,
Si. Il y a la ferme des sapins.
Just like that, Michel's Christmas tree farm becomes the prime suspect for the police, prompting them to quickly come over to investigate. As soon as Bowden enters the house, he notices the giant TV that Michel and his wife have just purchased, which is obviously a massive expense for Michel's struggling family. Fortunately, the bullet hole inside the house is covered up by a decorative painting that Michel hangs, preventing the returning Bowden from noticing anything fishy. What follows next is a set of fairly standard and official interrogations. Bowden cuts straight to the chase and asks what the couple is doing on the night before the body is discovered. Cathy tells him about their time at the club, adding that there is a group mingling event that night. Subsequently, Bowden calls out their dim-witted son to ask whether his father and mother are at home on the night of the incident. Luckily, the son is sleeping in his bedroom the whole night, which safely gets them through Bowden's intense questioning. However, when Bowden returns to the police station, female officer Florence notices that something is totally off.
Ils étaient pas au Cupidon.
comment vous le savez?
Parce que moi j'y étais.
After the police leave, Michel heads to the church in town, completely freaked out by the police interrogation as he tremblingly confesses everything to the priest. When the priest learns that Michel has a massive fortune, he immediately tells him to bring the money over and let God keep it safe. Under God's protection, it will be extremely difficult for the police to uncover the truth of the matter. Terrified, Michel agrees to the plan and decides to put his faith in God's divine protection. Early the next morning, Bowden learns that the higher-ups are sending 2 detectives to take over the investigation of this case. At this moment, the 2 detectives already arrive at the gas station near the town entrance, fueling up their car. What they do not know is that a lethal tail is following right behind them, who is a hitman sent by an illegal organization to track down the whereabouts of the money and the goods. Just as they are paying for the gas, the hitman walks into the building. In the blink of an eye, the hitman cleanly and efficiently unalives the 2 detectives and the gas station employee. Afterwards, he takes one of the detectives' IDs and walks right into the police station, impersonating the detective who is supposed to take over. Upon meeting Bowden, the hitman cuts to the chase and demands the details and progress of the case. Using the excuse that today is Christmas, Bowden pushes the handover work to the next day, refusing to reveal any details to the hitman. After the hitman leaves, Bowden arranges a meeting with Michel and his wife. As Michel's good friend, Bowden reveals the arrival of the detectives and the fact that they forge an alibi, urging Michel to turn himself in and explain the whole story clearly so that it can help reduce his sentence. Seeing that the cat is out of the bag, Michel voluntarily confesses everything, telling Bowden that he does all of this and Cathy knows absolutely nothing about it. Hearing this, Bowden understands Michel's intention to protect his wife and promises not to dig any deeper into the investigation. He even suggests that when Michel turns himself in, he should claim that his son is driving the car, ensuring that neither of them has to serve any prison time. The absolute worst-case scenario is that the son is sent to some sort of protective institution.
Attends, y a personne qui touche à Doudou, d'accord?
Enfin, Roland, c'est notre fils.
Ok, je disais ça comme ça.
Et pour l'argent, qu'est-ce qu'on fait?
Quel argent?
Just like that, the matter of the money is shoved right in front of Bowden through Michel's self-incriminating confession. Staring at the massive bag of cash inside the priest's house, which is already missing a noticeable chunk, the priest hastily explains that God simply takes it for his own personal use. Bowden is not buying this BS at all, ordering the priest to hurry up and return the money, otherwise he will definitely face a stint in prison. Subsequently, Bowden takes the bag of money away. However, what Bowden does not know is that every single one of his moves is closely watched by the hitman hiding in the shadows. Just as Bowden returns to the safe at the police station to deposit the money, the hitman quietly appears behind him and points a gun right at him. The lucky Bowden is saved by Florence, who rushes to the scene just in time. Afterwards, Bowden finds the real detective's ID on the hitman's body, which finally makes him realize the hard fact that the man in front of him is a deadly assassin. Having narrowly escaped the Grim Reaper, Bowden returns home with lingering fear. On this very Christmas day, looking at his daughter who waits for his safe return every day, along with his wife and her friends at home, he instantly lets go of everything. The danger of cracking cases pales in comparison to the precious moments of reuniting with his family right by his side. Then, Bowden takes a stack of cash from that bag and hands it to his daughter as a Christmas gift to buy her a brand new car. Blanche happily hugs Bowden, and the relationship between the father and daughter takes a massive leap forward on this special night. Meanwhile, Michel's family sits joyfully in a high-end restaurant they never dared to afford before, celebrating an incredibly happy Christmas. After Christmas, the police station returns to its usual orderly routine. Facing his superior's inquiry about so many fatal cases, Bowden pushes all the blame onto the hitman who tries to unalive him, completely leaving out any information regarding Michel's family. During the conversation, Bowden learns that his boss is stressing out over an expensive piano her son desperately wants to buy. Therefore, when his superior leaves, he donates a fancy piano for her child under the name of the church priest. The boss happily accepts the generous gift and tells Bowden to handle the case on his own, promising that she will not ask any more questions. At this point, all secrets are buried, all dirty money is distributed, and the small town welcomes a heartwarming Christmas as it finally returns to its former peace.